My wife's book club meets in the woods. They don't bring books. I'm not really a Reddit guy, but I need to tell someone what's been going on. I've been married to my wife, Sarah, for 5 years. She's 30, I'm 31. We live in this quiet little town in Missouri, the kind of place where your neighbors wave from their porch and the biggest event of the year is the county fair. She's a teacher, loves hiking, and has always had this down-to-earth energy. Until about 2 months ago, when she joined a book club. That's what she called it, anyway. It started innocent enough. One night, she came home from work and said a few coworkers were starting the book club and asked if she could go every Thursday. I said sure. I even joked, finally, someone's gonna make you finish a book instead of just buying them. She laughed. Everything seemed normal. The first Thursday came. She left around 6, came home around 9. Said they met at someone's house out in the country. No big deal. But a few weeks in, I started noticing things that didn't make sense. For one, she never actually brought a book. Not once. Every Thursday, she'd grab a jacket, a thermos, and sometimes a small backpack, but never a book. I teased her about it, said, "You sure this isn't just a wine club?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "It's more of a discussion group," she said. When I asked what book they were reading, she hesitated. "We rotate themes," she said finally. It was such a weird answer, but I let it go. Then there was the smell. When she came home, her clothes always smelled faintly like smoke, not cigarettes, more like a campfire. I asked if they were meeting outdoors. She said, sometimes, it's relaxing. Except she hates camping, always has. Then one night, she forgot her phone on the counter. I didn't mean to snoop, I really didn't, but when it buzzed, I looked. It was a text from someone named Lydia Book Club. It said, "Meet at the trail entrance. Bring the jar." When she got home at night, I asked casually who Lydia was. She froze for half a second before answering. "A friend from school." "Why?" I shrugged, just curious. Never heard of her. Then I asked, "What's with the jar thing?" She laughed it off. Inside joke. But she didn't meet my eyes. And later, when she went to shower, I checked her backpack. Inside were gloves, a flashlight, and a mason jar filled with some kind of cloudy liquid. No label. No explanation. I put it back exactly how I found it. The next Thursday, I told her I had to work late. I didn't. I parked a few streets over and waited until she left. She drove out toward the county forest, the one with the old fire road that nobody uses anymore. I followed from a distance, lights off. After about 10 minutes, she turned down a dirt path and pulled into a clearing. There were already a few cars there, all lined up neatly, headlights off. It was pitch black except for a few lanterns hanging from trees. I parked farther up the road and got out, trying to stay quiet. The air was cold, damp, and smelled like pine. And underneath it something else, like burnt metal. I crept close enough to see them. 6 women, all standing in a circle. Each held a mason jar like the one I had found. There was something faintly glowing inside them, a dull yellow light, like fireflies trapped in syrup. Sarah was one of them. They weren't talking. They were humming. Low, rhythmic, like a melody that didn't belong to any song I knew. In the center of the circle was a small fire, and next to it, a wooden box. Lydia, the woman who texted her, opened it and took something out. Even from where I was standing, I could tell what it was. A book, but not the kind you'd find at a library. The cover was leather, old, cracked, with no title. Lydia handed it to Sarah. Sarah opened it and began to read, softly, in a voice I barely recognized. It wasn't English. The sound of it made my stomach twist. Like words meant to be whispered, not spoken. As she read, the jars started to glow brighter, the light pulsed with her voice. Then Lydia stepped forward and poured her jar into the fire. The flames hissed and turned green. I must have made a sound. Maybe I stepped on a branch, because they all turned at once. 6 faces lit by green firelight. And Sarah's eyes met mine. For a second, everything went silent. Then she said, "Tom?" And that's when the fire went out. The clearing went pitch black. I stumbled backward, panicking, tripping over roots. By the time I reached my car, my heart was hammering so hard I thought I'd pass out. When I looked in the rearview mirror, I swear I saw something move in the tree line. A figure, just standing there, watching. I drove home without stopping once. Sarah came home an hour later. Her clothes were spotless, no trace of smoke or dirt. She smiled like nothing had happened and asked, "How was work?" I just said, "Fine." But I noticed something new. Around her wrist, under her sleeve, was a thin red mark, like a rope burn. And when she leaned in to kiss me goodnight, I caught a faint whiff of that same smoky scent. Except this time, it wasn't campfire. It smelled chemical, like burnt ozone. The next morning, her jar was gone. So was the backpack. She's been quieter since then, distant. Last night, she sat up in bed around 3 a.m. and whispered something I couldn't make out. When I asked what she said, she turned to me and smiled. I was just practicing. I don't know what to do. I tried calling her coworkers, but no one at her school has heard of a book club. I even drove back out to that clearing, but it was empty, no fire pit, no footprints, nothing. Like it had never been used. But when I got home, there was a mason jar sitting on our porch, filled with that same cloudy liquid, and taped to it was a note in her handwriting. It said, "Next meeting's at midnight. You're coming this time. You're watching Frozen Sora, where the stories get darker the deeper you go."